here's the producer of the Recovery Alley Show, Marcelo aka Wolverine Perez.
Welcome, everybody, to the Recovery Alley Show. I'm your producer, Marcelo Perez, a.k.a. Wolverine. Tonight, we have a great show, guys. As always, I've got guest, we got a host, of course, of Geoff Needstead. You know the man, American Toneman of the Year. And also, we've got Ron Myers and Quinn Pining from the Coalition. It's going to be a great show. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in the man himself. You know who he is, Geoff Needstead.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, we're still got some people coming into the stream. It's going to be a very informative show. It's a very, very important topic in the towing industry right now. And we've got two of the key players with the National Open Commerce Safer Highway Coalition. Two of the founders, again, it was Quinn Pining and we got Ron Myers. These guys are both industry leaders. Quinn has been inducted into the Towing Hall of Fame. Ron Myers is a fellow American Toneman of the Year 2023. The group that they put together, it's not a joke.
Right.
These are true players in the industry. So we're looking for help. So without waiting anymore, let's go on and bring Quinn in.
Right. I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great show, man.
Hey Quinn, how you doing? This afternoon, Quinn's in California. He's a little behind me right now. And we're going to bring Ron in also. There he is. There's the man himself, Ron Myers of Pine Tree Towing. Again, one of the founders of the coalition. So we're a little over 4 months into this stuff. We got hit mid February with this, we've been rolling, getting stuff done. Just some quick history. So, back in November, FTC is looking at the hidden excessive and junk fees, and they were initially looking at, like the cell phone companies with all the added bills, airlines, utility companies. Several industries are also involved in to be impacted by this rule. Open public comments until January 7th. They extended them at that time, 30 days. So, February 7th or so, Federal Motor Carriers goes to FTC and says, I think this has to do with hidden and junk fees, and hands them the towing industry. And, it's been a tough go. It took us a little while to get everything running and everything. But Quinn, let's talk about how this hit.
How it hit?
Yeah, let's talk about how did the Federal Motor Carriers get this bias?
Well, the Federal Motor Carriers is an agency that deals with highway safety of the motoring commerce, trucking, and some young lady there, one of the assistant directors, transferred over from FTC, and we believe that some conversations took place with some other stakeholders, and the ATRI report was given out, and comments were made to FTC to include our industry into this FTC rulemaking. And I think that you have prefaced it. I've read the report, but I never counted how many times they stated predatory towing.
When it was 252 times that they mentioned predatory towing in the comments. Exactly what they were trying to do is, by the time you finish reading that document, if you didn't know anything about the towing industry, we're all scumbags. We're all scumbags. We're robbing people. And then they come out with this ATRI study, and Ron, let's talk about the ATRI study a little bit.
Well, the ATRI report um, was made up of questions that were very leading to the trucking industry to get the answers they wanted. Um, the coalition has looked at this report in several different ways and have thought about creating a report of our own to offset that. But you're talking major dollars. We've been told somewhere around $100,000 to $200,000 possibly to blow holes in that. The hardline reality is as we go forward with this fight, we are blowing holes in it. We just hope that people don't use that report to any benefit for themselves or to try to get raises. We know that the prices in there are inflated in some areas. People are taking the pricing structures and utilizing them. We're hoping that stops and people stop doing that. That report is bogus.
So Quinn, what you're talking about? First of all, this is an extremely biased document. It's like you said, there's holes
Very biased
all the way through it, and people are already adopting the pricing that they had in there. And if you're in the towing industry and you read this document, they cited a $200,000 recovery. So it's really easy to say it was a $200,000 recovery, and everybody go, "Oh shit, that's a lot of money." But was it a tractor trailer that went off a bridge into a river, triggered a hazmat response, and was a 15-hour recovery? It probably should have been more than, but I mean, they take these things with no evidence and are just really painting us in a bad light. And what we're running into, and we're talking about the coalition again. Y'all guys can go to our website, and we can do very small monthly donations to the coalition. I donate monthly. You can go right there on the website. Website's up right now. Click the donate button, and we're not asking for tens of thousands of dollars. If we can get all of y'all that are out there to come in for $100 a month, $200 a month, we're gonna need money to fight this thing. We're already 100,000 plus in this fight, and that's just in the last 3 months. So help out. Let's donate and help them fight the fight. So let's bring them back in here. Ron, you've brought up you're really good with this stuff, Ron. You've fought this stuff in Ohio. You know what's going on. It's time for people to wake up. We still have people. First, we still have people that don't know about the FTC rule or what's going on with it. Then there's still people that doesn't think it would impact the towing industry, and they're wrong. We have a legal analysis that tells us that they are wrong. And we got next week the Texas Tow Expo coming up. The coalition is going to have a booth on the floor there at the Tow Expo. We're also going to have a Q&A on Saturday, the 22nd, at the Convention Center, room 108. We're going to have our lobbyists there to answer some questions, and we need everybody to get involved. Ron, talk about what y'all dealt with and where this is going.
So everyone, if they haven't heard of INCOIL, it's a national coalition of insurance legislators, and they have groups, meetings, and they come up with draft legislation that they try to promote in every state. Ohio dealt with this several years ago. We actually had a predatory tow bill passed in the state that passed unanimously that was requiring towers to write an estimate at the accident scene. And if you didn't write the estimate, it was $1,000 fine and a strike. 3 strikes, and definitely you lost your operating authority for 6 months. There was violations for not providing receipt, violation for not having pictures, not having signage up in your storage lot. They put in lighting requirements. They wanted all your truck information on a door. It was pretty drastic. That's what created ABTO. in response. And in part of that, it was a bunch of initially towers that created ABTO that realized, hey, we just got slapped pretty hard, and we went asking for answers. And that's where we're at right now. The FTC stepped in. We had no warning. We should have had some warning. We didn't get that. The problem is with the FTC, and even with this potential task force thing they're creating, once these things get in place, it takes a massive amount of work, effort, money to change what gets in. That's why we have to be participating in that process. The other thing that we've missed, and we mentioned the $200,000 bill, and just for full disclosure here, I've testified for a lot of towers, more towers than I have not, but I have testified against towers. There is a fraction or a faction of the industry that is being abusive, potentially taking advantage of some carriers. And for example, though, we have so many problems. Right before the call, we just had a guy we went out to tow from a third party that got scammed. He paid a third party who called us, and now they're ghosting and won't pay us. The industry has a lot of issues. And when it comes to the trucking industry, we have a lot of things in common. My business is built around servicing the trucking industry, and I have a great relationship with most of them. We are simply providing a service that is needed, that is not cheap. Okay. That doesn't mean it has to be abusive. And that's part of what the coalition is. I think that we know.
Ron, can I ask you a question real quick, Ron? Sure. So we're talking about the industry and where we're at with it right now, the costs. We're in a very expensive industry. What is a 50-ton record going for right now?
Well, I just priced one for $730,000.
$730,000. Quinn, I know you're good at this too. What are we looking at on a 50-ton rotator now? For years everyone kept saying the $700,000 1150 was $1 million. Well, now it is $1 million.
It is $1 million.
So when we have our company meetings, and we have a little company meeting, we're looking. We have some trucks that need to be updated. They're 2018s, 19s, some 17s. And we're looking at purchasing another rotator, and we're looking at $1 million. And I'm telling them, like, for $1 million to get an ROI, a return on our investment, should we not do the rotator? Maybe go buy a Dairy Queen. Maybe we should go buy, some self-storage units. Does it make a lot of sense right now to invest $1 million to open a highway when we have this massive amount of pressure that's going to try to say what we can charge for that? Now,
we're even seeing this in the industry now. There are people that are backing out of new equipment deals. They're backing out of the deals, and that tells you something. There are some people out there that are trying to be smart, not knowing what's going on. The prices that we pay. Quinn, how much has insurance went up? And let's just say the last 2 years, percentage wise. I'm just curious.
Geoff, I should smack you. I just got my quote today, and my carrier that I've been insured with for over 8 years, I have 0 losses. I've had no losses in 4 years. I had a shock loss before that. I took a 26% increase.
So that's what I'm hearing is anywhere in that 20 to 33%. And when you've got fleets like we have, we're not talking chunk change.
This is also, and it was funny because I'm very fortunate. I own commercial property, but none of my tow yards are on my own property. I lease all my tow yards.
Right.
The building my headquarters is in, my partner owns it. And I've got a pretty sweet lease deal going, but that's beside the point.
So I'm
But
gonna
not having building insurance in California, they told me if I would have had building coverage, it probably would have been closer to 55-60% increase.
so what I'm gonna ask y'all both the same questions. Again, we're all members of the coalition fighting this. And again, go to the website www.nocshc.com. There's a donate button there. We're not asking for you to, mortgage your house or anything, but we can use all the help you can get. We can get to fight this thing. Here in just a little bit, we're gonna have Jason and Joe on from Shoemaker. They're our lobbyists and have done a whole lot of work for us. They're going to be able to really dig into this thing here in just a little bit. You just kind of touched on this, Ron. Do you buy a rotator, or do you buy a Dairy Queen for your return on investment? Where are you at? And what are your thoughts? I mean, you got a massive machine.
So we have, we have some great customers that are very loyal to us. And so we're staying really busy, but there's pressure everywhere. We had a quote today to put a starter on a truck, and we want the work. And the company called back, major carrier, and they said, "Hey, we need you to do it for $100 less." We're like, "Listen, there's not $100 built in here just to give up." Now that's part of the problem we're having with this whole predatory towing thing is we have tow companies that are inflating their bill so that they can discount it when these third-party people call up and want to negotiate a tow bill. And that there's two things that's wrong with that. One, you're basically setting the premise up that you've overbilled,
overcharged,
and two, you're establishing the fact that the job was worth less than what you billed. And I've always felt that would come back to haunt us, and I think it could be now. I mean, I've talked to some major operators. They get so fed up. There's the guy in South Carolina. He calls you, and if you don't discount your bill $3,000-$4,000, he's going to call the patrol and turn you in for overcharge. And he calls the Better Business Bureau on you. He threatens to call the city and the mayor and threaten you with contracts. It's not based on whether or not your bill's too high. It's based on they only get paid if you discount your bill. So the insurance companies and even some of the trucking companies that are using these people have created a situation where small business people, and we don't practice this, and I encourage people not to, they inflate their bill anticipating they're going to have to discount it. The problem is if they don't discount it, they just hit a home run. You know what I mean? And then if they do discount it, they get paid what they should. But there's this illusion that we discounted because we overcharged because we have all these new third-party companies. And I do this in the business success class. They literally advertise all over the internet that assign a tow bill to them at no risk. If they don't save you money, you don't pay them nothing. So then what their job is to get you to reduce your bill. And it doesn't matter if you have a good bill. It only matters to them that you discount it, and they'll go to extreme to make you do that because that's how they're making their money. And then the other thing that gets me is most of these guys doing this and negotiating it, a lot of them are failed towers. They're towers who were in the tow business that couldn't succeed in the tow business. So now they're going to tell all of us how we should do it. And two, they don't care if your bill's a good bill. They don't review it and charge them a fee for reviewing the bill and tell the company, hey, they actually did a good job and saved you money. We still have no barrier to entry into the industry. There's no nationwide really training mandate anywhere. And I've been on wrecks where my people go out, and I've been on wrecks with other companies that are very good, solid companies will recover a tractor and trailer with zero secondary damage. That is a huge thing to the trucking industry because their truck is no longer down for an extra 6 months. And I was at a scene not long ago where the company come out, they have no training, they got some impressive equipment, but they literally wrapped chains around a frame and busted the turbo off the engine, destroyed the front of the truck. I mean, I literally watched them do $30,000 damage to this truck. There's no accountability. Some of that is stuff that we need to work out before we start telling people they can't charge a fair rate. And that's what we're about. And we want to make sure that we're at the table.
You know, we're at some crossroads, and I mean, you know, the towing industry has to learn how to embrace good regulation. We need something to try to get rid of the bad apples and stuff. Question, Quinn, how many? Because I know it's come up a lot. Where I'm at, we got Dallas Towing and Recoveries on. Barbara Christensen's on watching. I got old employee of mine, Victor Ramos, is in here today. I appreciate y'all being here. But how many has anybody mentioned Quinn to you on any of your stuff about predatory towing? Has it come up on some of your just stuff that you've been dealing with for the last couple of months?
Oh, constantly we're hearing it. You're hearing more and more of predatory towing, and it's funny because I don't think anybody understands what predatory towing is. It's a phrase that catches all that puts a real bad light on our industry as a whole. Predatory towing stems from the repo side more and from the private property side of the industries. And I don't like to include the repo guys into our industry, but in some ways they are. But what this all stems from is non-consensual towing.
So, Quinn, real quick. So you mentioned the repossessions and stuff like that. So do you think on that incident management side, you know, the police enforced tows, do you think that may be why people are laying down and thinking it's not going to be a big deal? That we've watched this go by, but they're coming after the people that are out doing police initiated tows. That's what they're coming after. And they're not just coming after heavy duty. They're coming after light duty too. And I know both of y'all have seen it. I mean, I've seen some crazy light duty, $4,000 or $5,000 light duty bills. So it's happening there. And right there, 10. So
it's coming. The question is to what level? I think that the coalition, we agree that some regulation may be needed, but it's got to be good legislation that supports industry.
Right.
You know, I tell you, we've had so many conversations regarding this stuff. How do you use an example of a $200,000 big rig wreck bill, or a tens of thousands dollar recovery on a car? How do you relate those back to real world situations? What industry goes out and does this kind of work that we do by cleaning up the highways and clearing junk and everything else, and trying to be very realistic with our numbers?
Here's the reality.
35 to 40% that never get paid for.
We're one of the only industries that are asked to go to work before we even know if we're getting paid. When you look at this, it's anywhere from 40 to 60%, probably depending on where you're at in the country. 40 to 60% of our heavy duty recoveries are not paid. We get stuck with derelict trucks, trailers. Y'all have all heard it. You know, you get on the phone with the insurance company and they're like, we got coverage issues. You know, so
hey, Geoff,
yeah.
There's one point in there that has to be reminded too, though. Not only do we not get paid, but worse, we have to pay to dispose of it. So we're not only doing the work, but we're paying to dispose of it. and getting double indemnity'd on it, you know,
Right.
in
So
reality.
we got somebody had a bright idea. Let's bring in, I think Federal Motor Carriers looking at like a federal towing task force to look over what we do. I think
Well,
that's
Jeff, to tell you what it is FMCSA, transparency and fees. Commercial motor vehicle operators are charged for towing and recovery services. And this was the task force that the Towing and Recovery Association of America asked for. That's what this meeting is on Friday. We've been advertising it. We're going to advertise it now.
yes.
Please sign up and be there. You can be there virtually. You can get on there onto the our site has it. We've listed it all over. And please represent the coalition when you sign in.
Now we
appreciate that.
There's going to be a spot when you I can see you can go to the website. If you go to our website, there's a contact spot where you can fill in and you'll get included in all the email blasts with all the information. And again, remember, if you're going to be at the Texas Tow Expo in Fort Worth, Texas next week, the coalition will have a booth there. We do have a Q&A at the tow show on the 22nd, room 108. It's going to be at 11 a.m. But real quick, we're gonna hear from somebody about Southwest Tow Operators digital marketing, and when we come back, we're gonna add two more gentlemen. We got Joe and Jason waiting on us. So let's go on and roll our bit on the Southwest Tow Operators digital marketing.
Folks, it's Geoff with Southwest Tow Operators. We got some exciting news coming up. Stay tuned. Be looking at the Facebook page on all the great stuff coming up. Southwest Tow Operators digital marketing division is coming. This is going to be great for your Google My Business. If you lose it, to get it recovered. If you want to set it up correctly, there's going to be all kinds of great services. And remember, this is by the towers for the towers. Nobody can do it better than a tower when it comes to your marketing. So stay tuned for the launch of Southwest Tow Operators digital marketing division. You don't want to miss this, folks. It's going to be great. And if you're a Southwest Tow Operators executive membership or a premier membership, the recovery of your Google My Business page is free. And if you want us to check it out and make sure everything's set up correctly so Google doesn't get you, that's going to be free too. Again, that's free to executive members and premier members with Southwest Tow Operators. Just another reason to be a member with Southwest Tow Operators.
Hey folks, glad to have y'all back. Marcella, let's go on and bring our boys in. This is our muscle right here. We got Joe and Jason with Shoemaker, our lobbyists, our advisors, really been helping us out. How you doing tonight, Jason?
I'm well, Geoff. How you doing, man?
So tell us real quick, Don, if you go to Southwest Tow Operators Facebook page, you can get that there. Y'all might know this name, Geoff Bodvaki. He helped me out in the beginning with financing for some of my equipment. Great to hear from him again. He'll probably be in Texas. Do me a favor, Jason. So explain a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what you're doing for the coalition.
Sure. Well, first, thanks again for having me on. It's great to be on. Good to be with you this evening. Look, sadly to say, I got on politics or got involved in politics all the way back in 1999. So I've been in this space for 25 years now. I've had the privilege of being involved in a presidential campaign, some Senate campaigns. I worked in the United States Senate for Senator Saxby Chambliss from Georgia. Spent over a decade at the NRA doing the political and the legislative work for them, which feeds nicely into everything that we're doing here. And I'm currently at Shoemaker Advisors, which is a multi-client firm and works in the government relations space for a top 200 law firm. And this is some of the work that we're doing right now. Currently at Shoemaker Advisors, we have the expertise to lobby in the executive branch, the legislative branch. We do some regulatory work. We're bipartisan. We're bicameral. And we're currently working with the coalition on the FTC junk fee rule, a little bit in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in the task force space, and just in general across, through the halls of Congress for the towing and the recovery industry.
I think we got Joe back. Let's go on and bring Joe in. Hey, how you doing this evening, Joe? Great to have you here. It's been like I said, we're a little over 4 months into this, and Joe and Jason and Hush Blackbone with everybody's done a great job. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Well, look, I think the biggest thing that we're tackling right now, and the thing that's out there that I mentioned in the beginning here, and part of the reason that this coalition came together, and the importance of this is this FTC junk fee rule. It is a big problem, and if you just give me a minute here, I kind of actually, for those who don't know or only have a cursory idea of it, I kind of want to work through just a brief history. If that's all right. Because this didn't come about yesterday. This actually began back in October of 2022. This regulatory agency, the FTC, did what's known as an advance notice of proposed rulemaking. They put that out there, kind of dipping their toe in the water to see what the feel would be around this space. And about 12,000 different industries and entities filed comments on this. They took those comments, they digest them to whatever degree they ultimately do that. About a year later, October 23, they do a notice of proposed rulemaking. So we're dipping more in the toe in the water. We're getting involved here. They're like, we're going to move on this at this point. They put that back out there for comment. 60,000 more comments roll in.
How many of those comments were from the towing industry?
Sadly to say, nobody from the towing and recovery industry commented. Ultimately, 72,000 comments, and nobody from that industry commented.
But Jason, why did nobody comment on the FTC rule?
That's a great question, Geoff. I have yet to be able to figure that out, because as broad as this rule is, and man, it is broad, it brings in virtually every industry across the board, which is why it garnered 72,000 comments. And look, I don't have a problem with a lot of what the rule is ultimately trying to tackle, but it is just way too broad. It is way too much government overreach. It's a sledgehammer after a gnat, if you will, in this space. They're going after, this came about because Ticketmaster, your hotel, you show up at your hotel. It's like, okay, it's $299 for 3 nights. So you expect your bill to be $900 after 3 nights or whatever it is like that. And you go, all of a sudden it's like $1,500, and you're saying, man, what happened here? How did this go on? And they could have given you all those fees up front, your resort fee, your local fee. They could have given you all those different things. In essence, they could have given you a, quote, total price, which is a lot of what this is about. Up front.
So total price. Hold on here.
Yep.
We got we've got some towing professionals here.
Yep.
Rollover tractor trailer, leaking fuel, hanging off a bridge. How
Impossible.
do we give? Okay, so we give. So what happens if we give them the price and the guy says, I don't like it. I need a quote from somebody. We're on a highway. The highway is shut down. Every minute we get 4 minutes of backup. How is this? I know, Joe, you've been fighting this in Ohio a lot. How does this impact this rule? If it's to happen, how does this impact law enforcement tows?
I'll tell you what, I think there's a potential that it has a major impact on how you're going to perform these tows. But more importantly, what I think they're really getting at is billing, right? At the end of the day, just like a lot of things you see with the federal government, or anytime the government's intervening on anything, it's ultimately about money. So that example that you use, for example, great question. You're on a bridge, things are happening. What happens when the next thing happens in that same tow, and then the next thing happens? Well, that's not going to be in any total upfront price. That's going to be considered a hidden fee, or then you had to bring another piece of equipment. But ultimately, as you all know, since you're working on this every day the same way we are, we don't have any idea how this final rule is going to come out. We do not know if it's going to apply to commercial towing versus consensual, if it's non-consensual, what it is. And I don't know if you guys got into this earlier, but the bigger fear is now the comments from Federal Motor Carrier Safety. And you asked a little bit beforehand why no one submitted comments. It's pretty interesting because, and you also asked, where are we going from here? Well, what we've seen, obviously, in Ohio, and from what you guys, the conversations that we have, this stuff didn't just come out of nowhere. This has been decades that you've had organized opposition, very powerful, very well funded, that have been moving in this space for quite some time. When I started representing the towing industry about a decade ago, it was one of the first conversations I had, and you saw the use of that language. I started hearing about predatory towing a decade ago. So when you see an FTC rule like this, it doesn't necessarily come out of nowhere. This is something that you got to stay on top of. But it's here.
This rule, it hit us in February, and very, very quickly. I think California was one of the first ones. Let's talk about what's going on, what's happened in the states legislatively and stuff, because people need to realize at a state level, and Ron's talked about this before about the waterfall effect, at a state level can be much worse than the federal level. So let's talk about what's going on in other states.
Yeah, there's a few things, and I'll start by saying, get your helmets on and start buckling up the chin strap. We've seen this now for over a decade of coming after what's called, price gouging. We know the industries that are pushing that. We know where it's coming from. And so I'll try to put it into the context too of the FTC and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So the FTC now is coming at it from a new angle. This is a new space that is coming, that the industry is coming under assault, right? Formerly, we were dealing with Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carrier Safety. They're doing their safety rules and regulations. But there's also a level, at least, that's still in existence of federal preemption that is supposed to keep the federal government out of pricing. However, as that federal preemption got whittled down, what was very important about it is they made it fairly clear that this was the domain of the states, right? So now we're seeing a bleed. And when I say a new space, instead of going through the regulatory structure the way that it's set up now, we're talking about a consumer protection. So a completely different realm of regulation. And that's what we're doing over in the FTC. So it's not through the folks that you're normally dealing with. It's not through the licensing entity that you have. It's not from where the safety rules and regulations and the transportation system and the people that have expertise in this industry. It's coming from the Federal Trade Commission. And that just like Ron said, if he said it earlier, he knows, he's seen it. You see that when the federal government sets a bar, that's the minimum now that they expect the states to make, right? They can go way above and well beyond. And so we've seen it in Ohio. This started out more specifically in the private property space where we had to deal with, predatory towing. I still haven't figured out what that term actually means, but we fight it everywhere. We fully anticipate if the FTC rule goes into place, you should expect, and California has already seen that they've jumped ahead and started doing it. And the strategy is without question going to be state by state, because that's where the preemption kicks in and says, states, go ahead and have at it.
So I believe it is. Do you think by the FTC and the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration starting what they're doing now, first of all, I believe that this is purely political. And I think they're trying to get this thing done because they don't think Biden's going to get elected again. And if they don't get it now, it's done. It's done. I think it's purely political. What's going on right now? What are we on the same page on that one?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you one bit, Geoff, that it's political. I think that this rule's on pace to come out any day now. I'm hearing June, July up here. I mean, that's kind of just this summer, but that's any day. Yeah, I absolutely think it's political. I think it'll be used. You will hear it the moment it comes out and gets finalized in the Federal Register. Man, you are going to hear about it in stump speeches. Just mark my words, that's coming. It's going to get used across the board. And part of it being so broad is they can use it in any space they want politically, and they view that it'll be a political home run. And there will be huge problems if it goes into effect as broadly as it's written right now for this industry. I mean, you're talking about not being able to give a total price. I'm talking about not being able to comply at all. I mean, what happens if you can't comply one bit when you're called to this thing? I mean,
fines of $51,000
in
a current $51,000. That would put
that's per violation. That's per violation.
And so you
could have multiple on a scene. Yeah.
So what, Quinn? You were saying something?
Well, you could have several violations on one bill or on one job.
Exactly. You could go do a recovery and you could charge $60,000 and end up with, I don't know, $153,000 worth of fines.
Easily. Very easily.
So it's time for people to pull their head out of the sand. The coalition is here to help. These two gentlemen are here to help. Please go to our website. There's a donate button on there. We are not asking for tens of thousands of dollars. We're asking you to give us a shot. Let us go to work. We are making extreme headway. We've had to kind of work behind the scenes a little bit. We were trying to figure out who our friends were. There were things that we were coming up with that popped up in other spots. So I apologize if you feel like we haven't been getting the information out that you want, but there's a reason for it, and it worked. It worked very well. So let's talk. So again, we had somebody that come up with a great idea about a towing task force. And personally, I don't need anybody changing my diapers. I'm solid on my billing. I know what it costs to turn the key on that truck. I know what it costs to turn the light switch on in the office. And I know I'm where I need to be, where I'm at in the United States. But this towing task force, let's elaborate a little bit.
I think it's a dicey prospect. I don't think we know until we go sit right in front of it, of which I'm proud to say that this coalition has a seat at the table, and not just a seat at the table. They're actually on the agenda. They'll be presenting at it. This coalition will, front and center. So I'm proud that they're going to be there. But we are walking a little bit, and I don't know if this was talked about earlier, but we are walking, a little bit into something why I say it's dicey, and people are going to say why and what's the kind of concern. I mean, look, when those 72,000 comments that I was talking about earlier, where nobody from the towing and recovery industry presented comments, well, in the 11th hour of that, Federal Motor Carriers Association sure as hell submitted comments in there, and their comments were not favorable to the industry. So the folks that are not favorable to us are now going to put together a task force, and invite us to participate until we sit there and see what happens. What does that look like? But I want to read from you just an excerpt from their comments. Their comments state, quote, believe that these predatory towing fee practices fall within the purview of FTC's proposed regulations on unfair and deceptive fees. And the comments continue to suggest that FTC finalize and clarify the rule to specifically address their concerns related to predatory towing practices.
So you said something there, okay? At the 11th hour, Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration handed us to FTC. And it's a tactic that's used in legislation. They wait till that last day of public comment to add something to it.
That's
they-
just so you know, that's an indication to me that they're not necessarily our friend. And I'm not, I would not have been asking them to try to help us resolve it because I already know their opinion is not favorable of us.
Correct. And so we
that's
we
where
got a
we're at.
question here. David Mason said, for someone that's not familiar with how this works, is this rule final or does it still need to be voted on? Or are we just waiting for it to come out? Well, they were very crafty when they did this. This is a rule change. It's not legislation. So they don't have to, nobody has to vote on it. It's up to FTC what's going to happen. And if you look at what's happened to industries just here recently, it can change your life. It can change the way you do business. It can put you out of business. But that's what I was getting at earlier, Jason, is, how was there no comments from the towing industry? Somebody should have seen this coming. Now, remember, folks, we're only a little over 4 months into this with the coalition. So we're here to fight now. We're here to help. What you got, Quinn?
What I can say is the reason why there was no comments from the beginning is this arena, the FTC arena, and nobody, I don't believe anybody expected Federal Motor Carriers to drop the bombshell that they dropped, is such a new arena. Nobody knew it. Well, in saying that, my question is why not? Why was not somebody watching what goes on at the federal level for our industry?
Well, I tell you what,
that's why the coalition was formed.
And
Nobody has been watching what's going on at the federal level for our industry.
Well, I tell you what, we got the people right here. We've got our boots on the ground in DC with Shoemaker. We got people watching this stuff, guys. You wouldn't believe the work that has been done by the coalition. It's like I said, here, hopefully soon we can speak a little more freely about what's going on. Where there are people against the coalition because they know that we are here and we're here to stay. This isn't a one-shot wonder. We're not just here to take care of this FTC rule. We're looking at coverage issues with insurance companies, trying to get us paid quicker. There's things that are going on. So again, go to that website, www.noschc.com. Click on the donate button. You can do small, reasonable, monthly reoccurring donations, $50, $100. We're not asking for tens of thousands of dollars, but we're going to be probably $300,000 deep in this thing by the time we're done.
we need tens of thousands of dollars.
You're right.
But
we
believe
get that from all over the
it-
United States,
It's time for the industry to realize that it's just not the same. I've been heavily involved in somewhat of this political thing for 10 years, and I'm still very much a novice. It's amazing what I've learned. But one of the things that I have learned from Joe, some of it from other, just being involved. If you're not at the table, you're on the table.
That's right.
So that's the key. And so just because you can't do legislation, you can't do oversight part-time. You can't wait until it's happening. And that's where we're at now. It puts you so far behind the 8 ball. But I'm a firm believer, and I have confidence that once you engage yourself, that you can make a difference. And by that, I'm saying the coalition is engaged. And again, we're not trying to, we're not creating a club, or we're not, everyone's welcome to join the coalition, and you're willing to join at any level. And that's what it's going to take. In order for this to make it happen, we're going to be announcing a monthly newsletter. If you're making some type of contribution, we'll get you on that mailing list. Again, we're still in our infancy. As Geoff says, we're not going nowhere. I think we're up to, I think we have ourselves in-housed almost 3,500 emails. So we're building that out. And then, like I said, we think it's to fund this thing, instead of asking people, and we've had people donate big chunks of money early on, but to sustain this thing, we think it's an easier ask for people to donate $50, $100 a month. We have a few people that's donating $500 a month, and that money. So what I get to is this is why we're not an association, so to speak. Everyone wants to join an association. They want to tit for tat. If I give you this money, what do I get? You have to look at the coalition and the work we're doing almost as how you look at your insurance policy. So what does your insurance company give you? I guess maybe they'll give you a pack of gloves or something, but insurance is peace of mind that your business is protected. When you join this coalition, when you help us financially, you basically are taking an insurance out on your business, because we're here to look out for the things that you can't because you're busy in your business. The coalition is here to make sure business becomes more.
Well, give me just a second, Jason. I see you're ready to jump. See, that's the deal, is just what you said, Ron. We're gonna have to fight this thing. And again, we're a little over 4 months into it. We are in communication with the FTC. We're in communication with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Look, the reality of this is we were abandoned on the steps of the Capitol in Washington, D.C. We should have seen this coming. So that's why the coalition is here. We all feel that we need to represent the towing industry the way we want it done. Everybody in that coalition is an industry leader, and we've put a lot of work into this, guys. Jason, what do you got?
And look at what Ron said. While we're behind the 8 ball on this, we are working our way out of this very, very nicely. A boatload of work has been done in the legal arena on the background of all of this. We had an awesome letter that put us on record with the FTC directly to their commissioners and to their chiefs of staff, saying everything, that brought law enforcement in, that explained all the reasons that we can't comply with this. Certainly things that should have been put in the comment space, but we were ultimately able to get through these legal entities, through the work that Joe and I and others and Shoemaker Advisors do. We were able to get this into this space. And for the Federal Motor Carriers Task Force, it's going to take, they're obviously don't, I don't mean it in a bad way, they obviously don't understand, based on the comments they made, the harm that they're doing and what this could cause. And it's up to folks like us to make sure that we use that seat at the table to properly educate them, because they obviously haven't been educated in this space. So I take it as an opportunity for us to be in there to educate them on why what they said is not good, it's inaccurate, it's potentially harmful, in all the ways that we can actually move forward in the spaces that things can be really good and advance causes for the towing and recovery industry, because we are vital. This industry is vital to safe commerce and to open highways. So
do we have the support of law enforcement?
We have support of the sheriffs.
Okay, so we've got, and I think anybody with anything upstairs. I mean, let's go back to what we talked about. Total pricing. I mean, you pull a lever, you pull a stick, you hit your remote, you can pull on that casualty, and anything can change. So there's absolutely no way that we can provide total pricing. It's not going to happen. Guys, we have put a lot of money into this already. We have got some of the best regulatory counsel that you can get. We now have boots on the ground in Washington, watching Jason, Joe, Chris, Ryan, all of y'all at Shoemaker are doing a fantastic job. And as Jason said earlier, slowly but surely we're getting. I am so impressed on just what has went on in the last 10 days. I mean, how do y'all feel about just what's going on in the last 10 days?
I mean, look, I like the pathway forward that we've carved. I like where we're coming out of this. Like I said, we were, or as Ron said, behind the 8 ball. And what I've said is we are moving out from behind that. And I think it's not just the last 10 days alone, but just take the last 4 months. I mean, it's been a grind. It's been from zero all the way to where we are. All that legal research, all the lobbying, all the communication at the regulatory level, all the monitoring of all the things that are moving through the agencies and the administration in this space, everything that's taken place in this. There's a lot of stuff that, just for the sake of this, that we work on, that we pick up, that we get behind the scenes that allow us to drive forward in an intelligent fashion and in tactical directions that obviously I can't disclose here, but all of that has happened and had to happen very quickly. And it's a result of look, the coalition giving us the freedom to operate in that space in a pretty aggressive fashion, and all of our guys working together. Like I said, bipartisan, bicameral. We are both sides of the aisle and both sides of the Capitol. And I think it's been an enormous push forward in just these simple 4 months. And once we get out from behind the 8 ball and being a little bit in a defensive space, I look forward to being in an offensive space in a lot of these areas and start solving and fixing some of the problems that are out there that we ought to be solving and fixing.
Hey, Quinn,
and I could I'll jump in too and add a little bit to this, because Geoff, you're hitting on something that I think is extremely important. These number one, let's be very clear. These things are happening. This isn't a conversation about what we think is going on. What's this application? What's that application? Is it happening at the federal government? It 100% is. Is it happening state by state? It 100% is. And what I think when you say, where do you think we are? I think one of the most significant things that this coalition has done is to identify the proper resources to get on the ground. So, and what I mean by that is if you are dealing with the FTC and you do not have a specialized Washington, D.C. law firm who deals directly with the FTC all day, every day, then you don't have the proper resource in the field. If you're dealing with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and you do not have a professional expert transportation legal representation, then you do not have the proper resource on the field. And if you're going over to Capitol Hill, you better have the people that can get in those doors and have the conversation, and they better be on the field. And so right from the beginning, the coalition set that up, put those resources in play. And as you're saying, we're starting to see that fruit. And now it's about maintaining, pushing, and as Jason said, getting to that space where you start going offensively.
Right. It's been a crazy ride. And again, folks, we're doing the work. These guys are doing the work. The coalition, the founders, all the board. We are all over this stuff. And again, this is not a one-shot wonder here. We're not going anywhere. We want to save the towing industry from overreach, overregulation. We can't do it without your help. Again, go to the website. There's a donate button on there. We're asking for a monthly reoccurring donation, $100, $250, $500. And look, if you want to do something else, that'd be great. We'll take anything we can get from the industry. We are literally here, towers, helping towers right now. Quinn, I saw you were wanting to say something just a minute ago.
Yeah, the thing that I think that the industry doesn't understand is how much work our lobbyists and our attorneys is doing behind the scenes. How much work is actually being put in, and what kind of partnerships we're we're making. There's a lot of stuff that due to strategies and ramifications that we can't broadcast in an open forum at all times. But as time goes on, those things come out. Just like our legal opinion from the FTC rule and the potential of what it would be. We broadcasted that. The letter to FTC, we broadcasted that. The great thing that's going to happen next weekend is we're going to be down at Texas at the expo, and on Saturday we'll have our Q&A. Well, that's going to be the day after the task force meeting, and Joe and I and Ron will be there to kind of let everybody know what transpired if they weren't able to get on and be a part of that meeting, because I think that's going to be crucial.
Yeah, that's what the coalition's all about. We're doing the fight. We're fighting for you. We just need a little backup from the industry. And again, you can go to the website, hit the donate button. If you're going to be at the Texas show, make sure you stop by the coalition's booth. We're going to have information there. You can sit down and talk if you want to talk about donating, if you want to talk about being involved. We're going to have our people there. Quinn's going to be there. Ron's going to be there. Joe, Jason, are y'all are going to be in, or one of y'all's going to be in?
I'll be there.
Yep, I'll be there.
Okay, Joe's going to be there. I might be there a little bit. I got a pretty busy schedule myself at the show. But again, folks, first of all, Joe, Jason, I know y'all burn the midnight oil almost every night. I appreciate you giving us a little time tonight. Joe, I appreciate you coming down to Texas. It's gonna be good to see you again. But we're gonna leave it on this note. The coalition is there to fight for the industry, so you have your freedoms to run your business. Again, go to the website, hit that donate button. Also, fill out the contact form on the website so you can get involved and you start getting the email blasts that are coming out.
Wow, David, thank you.
Yep, I just saw that. Absolutely.
So I'm going to let you in. So this David Mason he's my right arm. He's my right arm. He is a hell of a man. As an operator, he's making a statement. He'll donate $50 a month because you know why? David knows that this rule can impact him as an operator. So we're not asking for thousands of dollars. If the operators want to jump in there, if they want to be part of this fight, we'll take the $50 a month. We'll take the $25 a month. That's a beautiful thing. And I've been grooming this man for a long time, and I think I might be rubbing off on him. I'm really proud of that man right now. But again, Quinn, Ron, I appreciate y'all's time tonight. It's going to be great to see y'all in Fort Worth here in a week or so. Joe, we'll see you out there. Jason, again, both of y'all, thank you. Shoemaker, make sure Chris and Ryan hear it also. We appreciate everything you're doing. And man, we look forward to fighting shoulder to shoulder with you on this thing.
4 months and we have a seat at the table.
Yep. And look, just real quick, I want to thank you guys as well. As you said, it's a coalition. It's a team effort. You guys are doing your lifting on your end. We're doing the lifting on our end. But, as soon as somebody doesn't lift, it doesn't move. So it's a team effort. You guys got a great board on there. It's very diverse. It's across the country. It brings a lot of expertise to it. It's a really, really solid, well-run board, and it's building out an awesome coalition to fill voids in areas in this industry and augment what's already out there. And I think there's a very bright future for it. And I love it. I would encourage anybody who wants to continue to participate in it, because I certainly trust in the leadership of what you all are doing. I think you're doing a fantastic job with it.
Great. So again, we'll see everybody in Texas next week. And I tell you what, you better bring your air conditioner with you, or you better bring some shorts, because I'm going to tell you what, we're preheating down here in Texas, folks.
I'm really happy to hear shorts are okay.
Y'all coming down from where you're coming, you might want to wear shorts.
Shorts, but I can tell you right now, Joe will.
Yeah, that's all I needed to hear. I'm good.
So
Thank you guys. You know, we appreciate it. I always enjoy talking about it, as you could tell. I hope you guys know, and everybody out that's listening, from Jason and I and Shoemaker, we love this stuff. We love the fight. We're not going anywhere. We appreciate the opportunity to do it, and we will continue strongly.
Great. Again, we'll see everybody in Texas. Make sure you get to that Q&A Saturday, the 22nd, room 108 in the convention center. Learn some more about the coalition and what's going on, folks.
Hey,
And
Geoff,
remember,
I don't want to get out. Chris Harp said that he did $50 also.
cool. Look at this stuff. This is good stuff right here. This is our industry stepping up.
They're listening.
Yep, they're listening. So
finally, we're getting somewhere. This is huge.
So again, like I said, folks, it's going to be great to see everybody in Texas. And remember, we'll see you on Recovery Alley.